stack?
So we're doing something similar with SaaS and BPO, essentially clouding in a way that we've got partners aggregating across the investment of the hardware, the global licensing of the software, and creating BPO, providing the service on a commoditized basis to countries so that we can offer it as an optional rollout rather than needing a reasonable number to make that investment in the first place. And then it's commoditized based on transactional volumes.
So, well, I'm really interested in the BPO discussion, okay, because there's several people who mentioned BPO now. Why is BPO cloud?
Well, I see it in a cloud concept because it's bolted onto the SaaS to create a combined transactional volume that's commoditized. So we pay by the...
So it's the billing, it's the consumption model.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. But it combines the technology with the process. So essentially the business can perceive it as a equal process.
Okay.
You're taking advantages of kind of cloud economics, which is if you have to supply the infrastructure,
exactly.
your demands like that,
Exactly.
but if you put a bunch of you together,
yep.
you aggregate out to a steady state.
Absolutely. And in particular, this particular partners use it is very cloud leveraged anyway. And that's how the hardware and the software is being provisioned. Conceptually, this is providing labour in a cloud.
But in this contract, you don't care about the hardware and software anyway. You care about the BPO.
Exactly.
So they're actually the cloud user. You're just a consumer of their services.
Yeah.
To be cloud supported.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable to conceive it as a cloud service connected with that. You know, the fact that whether it's people doing it now or in time they automate that, make it more truly technology cloud. Which is inevitably how we would all see that moving.
Amazon have the Mechanical Turk. Have you seen the Mechanical Turk? Amazon, fantastic. They've opened up a marketplace where you can go and put on stuff you want doing, whether it's data entry, whether it's anything you like, and then other people will come on and take those jobs on. It's a broker place for boring, repetitive tasks, and there's some interesting people that have some fantastic iteration on that. They've been doing things themselves and stuff, but it's a really interesting marketplace. So that's what they've actually termed is sort of labour as a service. Almost. So it is that level above software as a service, this labour as a service, just cloud.
Just on that point, would you view that model you have as a separate piece that would sit outside of the business function, or would you offer that as an independent part of it? So I look at that and I could put finance above SaaS, I could put HR above SaaS.
Exactly. Spot on, right? So
it's a business technology partnership. Then. It's
what
not
this,
technology,
what this actually is this is a journey through abstraction from infrastructure that everyone is going through. So what cloud is actually doing for us is enabling us to get further and further detached from the infrastructure. Because I talk to most CIOs, they don't want to care about infrastructure. That's why you go and see companies like VCE selling vBlocks, because they will sell you that as a managed service. You can go and buy that as a managed service from CIC. You can do these kind of things, so you don't even worry about its infrastructure. Next step up is when we'll get people who will come in and maybe stand up our Cloud Foundry platform as a service or something else. This is Microsoft Azure and others up here. So that you end up only caring about how you aggregate and broker these to deliver service to your end users. So actually what cloud is doing is increasing the level of abstraction from infrastructure in your organization. So you've hit the nail on the head, because up here, it could be anyone. It's why I said in my last piece of the panel, stop worrying about these bits, because they're actually commodities. And you can buy them as such. That's what cloud's done for us. And you can buy them at varying levels of commodity, whether it's on-site, off-site, virtual machines from Amazon, physical service, whatever you want to do. What you should be looking at is how do I aggregate and deliver these services? And whether I have to deliver these myself, or whether I'm just buying them in, being managed and delivered by someone else, or so on. Sorry, you've got a point there?
Yeah, Joe, I guess it then brings around the challenge of how to enterprise architect and integrate the components of a SaaS model. So for instance, ERP, CRM, various pieces that traditionally, 10 years ago, we would have architected and dealt with the integration on a piece by piece as it evolved.
Yeah, well, so what's happening in cloud is you're seeing more and more APIs at each of these levels to allow interoperability. There's lots of organizations fighting to come up with standards that are doomed to fail. But in essence, you're going to have different APIs here that allow you to connect that data together. And as that abstraction moves up the stack, you'll get better ways to connect the data together. Because actually, we have a product called Horizon App Manager, which is, most people think we just do virtualization. Most people think we do this piece here, and that's pretty much it. In fact, We do platform as a service with Cloud Foundry, and at the consumption space, at the how do I aggregate and deliver a service to end users, we do a thing called Horizon App Manager. And what that is essentially a portal where you would present to your end users what they want to do. So they log in and they go, okay, fine, I've got access to Salesforce, I can access these applications. It's that single sign-on aggregated app store that everyone's talked about. The thing about it is the fact that we can deliver it to any device, all that kind of stuff. And we're getting more interest up that end, around the consumption end, because that's where people are feeling the pain from their consumers. I don't call them users anymore, from their consumers. That's where they're feeling the pain, is how are you delivering this aggregated service to me? And why, when I come and use your systems, do they look like something from the 1970s, as opposed to the stuff I can get from elsewhere? And these are the people that will go out and en masse as a department go and sign a deal with Salesforce without your control. These are the people that will bypass you at some point, not just by using Dropbox, but by going and buying Salesforce systems inside department.
What's interesting about that discussion is it enables some things which help the users in that, so I'm a user internally at VMware. I want to be able to use Salesforce or, the HR system that we have as a SaaS. I must have half a dozen or more SaaS applications I could use. I don't want to have one, a password for each. I just want to go in through one portal and use it at the right level of authority, for my role and that kind of thing. However, as a business, if I leave or I change jobs or something different, the business wants to be able to, pull the ladder up and terminate all of that neatly and efficiently, and that's all kind of built in. So you've got this single sign-on, role-appropriate kind of access to things. That happens at that top layer, so it really takes out a lot of hassle that probably you guys have historically had to scratch your heads over.
It is giving you that point where you can set policy about who accesses what. So what it's going to give you. At the same time, I'm seeing data moving from where it exists to new places, and I don't know if you've seen that as well. So one of the things I've seen is that Dropbox, I mentioned it just now, massive phenomenon, because people suddenly realise they don't want to store stuff in one particular place, they want to store it in lots of places and have access to it anywhere, and that's what Dropbox gives them, is this ability to have your data anywhere. And so again, problem with Dropbox is it's on their servers with no guarantees, no SLAs, there's no security arguments about how long. I think that Dropbox is rather secure, and I'll have a conversation about it later. But we've got another product which is in beta trial at the moment. I've got it running if anyone wants to come and see it. It's called Octopus, and that is essentially Dropbox for the enterprise. It's stored within our firewall. There's controls on it. They can control who can share what to whom, etc., etc. So we're sort of going beyond to the next way people want to work. So this is the interesting thing, and a lot of the activity we're seeing in cloud is very much at this consumption layer. It's very much how do I change the way that my users work and how do I meet their demands, because actually they're outpacing me. They're already using Dropbox.
So on that data example then, we've heard a lot of examples so far of people doing infrastructure stuff and cost saving. We've talked quite a lot about services that you're delivering which are enabled by cloud. We've talked about SaaS. Is anyone doing anything at that kind of in-between level where they're delivering a service to a developer or a service to a user? And the example I'm thinking of is database as a service.
Yep, we do all commodity. We call them platforms as a service. You can SCM, documenting databases, IIS, JBoss, whatever it's all called.
Yeah.
It's all dialed up. I mean, so it's the next layer on. You provide the hardware, and then you have a number of different catalog-based builds. What do you want this device to be? You want it to be a database server. What do you want this one to do? You want it to be an IIS server.
But that's an interesting one, because that's still infrastructure as a service. It's not platform as a service.
It goes with the platform, right? Database and RDBMS is a platform, isn't it?
Yeah, but however, that platform, so it's an interesting conversation to have, because if I get a lot of people say we do application virtualization, for example. In fact, some people at VMware say it, but we don't. What we do is snapshots of a particular service, and you go and request and say, I want an RDBMS server. You go and it'll spin up the server that's then yours to manage and play with. But you as the developer still have to deal with the onward scalability of that machine. So if you want a bigger server, or you want a bigger database, you can't just go and ask for another 2 of them and it will automatically scale. You as the developer, the consumer service have to do that.